Welcome back. Well, having heard comments from the Minister of Labour and all that has been done about the minimum wage, many expected that by now, yes, all should be in place to ensure that states do pay. Or in fact, some thought that they should have started paying since last year, ever since it was signed into law. But we'll check with the number of states and see where they are at the moment. For a start, we have Mr. Bola Oyebamiji, who is the Commissioner for Finance in Osun State. He joins us via Skype this morning. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. How are you today?
Yep, we're good. So tell us, many just wonder, what is the situation with Osun State regarding the payments of the minimum wage?
The Governor State of Osun just set up a committee, including the Labour, to work out the modality to implement the payment of the new minimum wage.
Okay, so has there been meetings with Labour? What did they say? Why didn't it set up a committee now? Why wasn't it set up earlier than now?
Yeah, the committee has been set up earlier, and they have been meeting with Labour, and we are talking, and it has been fruitful so far. In a couple of weeks, we are going to conclude the meeting and the government. While there are a lot of variables that we are considering, the growth of the IGR is very important. It's synonymous to the payment of the new minimum wage, and the government is willing.
Okay, so one is wondering, it seems that you are making the condition that unless IGR improves, the minimum wage will not be paid, and some, of course, the Labour is saying that the minimum wage issue is a law that every government, federal and state, must, obey. So what happens now if the government of Osun State is saying without an increase in minimum in IGR, does that mean that there will be no increase in minimum wage unless IGR improves?
Yeah, what I said was that the governor is willing to pay the minimum wage, and however, the Labour and the workers or the staff of the state government has been working together to improve the IGR. So it's not a precondition at all. We have been working together to achieve the best, at least in IGR growth.
So what timeline is this committee working on to ensure that things are sorted and then the pay?
The committee, which was set up, we have met twice, and I'm sure in a couple of weeks now, we are going to conclude our discussion, and we are going to set out the modalities, at least to pay the minimum wage.
So far, what's the body language of Labour? How is the conversation coming up?
The conversation is coming up fine. The Labour is happy. They are happy to meet us. They have always been happy, at least with the state governor. And the meeting is coming out very well. And I hope all things being equal, just like I said, in a couple of weeks, we are going to decide on what to do. However, I can assure you that the governor is seriously, at least, willing to pay.
Okay, that's good to know, because we did read the comment of one of the traditional rulers earlier, who was quoted to have said that Osun State is broke and they may not be able to pay this minimum wage as a result of what happened previously. I don't know if you heard or read about that comment from the traditional ruler. What is your impression of that?
Well, I didn't know about that. However, just like I said, everybody is working together in the state for the progress of the state. And because the governor is determined to actually work on the welfare of the workers, and the workers knows that. You know, in recent times, the workers, just yesterday, at least at the media prayer meeting, the NSC chairman, I really appreciate the government in what at least the government is doing to pay the full salary and to consider all variables at least that affect the workers. So the Labour is happy.
Osun State, what is the wage bill? Could you give us an idea? And how Are you managing that to ensure that when you do pay this minimum wage, other sectors of the economy are not affected?
The other sectors of the economies will not be affected because we have considered that we have start back. We always determine the course of actions on how to manage the economy and the commerce of the state. And the governor is willing, just like Aliza, what we did recently, our summit, our investment summit, you can see the response. You can see, Aliza, the response of our people and the response of the outsiders who are seriously working on the growth of the economy and the commerce of the state. And I can tell you, in the twinkle of an eye, you will see a new Osun.
Beyond the IGR that Osun State government is looking at and the federal allocation that's many states usually wait for, what other sources of income is Osun State considering, given that continuity is something that is important? Having paid this one, how does the state government intend to continue so that, as my colleague has asked, other sectors of the economy does not suffer? We are aware that there are huge infrastructural work going on in Osun State, especially roads and all of that. So what other sources of income is Osun State looking at to ensure continuity of these salaries and pension are paid?
Well, if you follow up with the economic summit, we have a focal point, and our focal point is that we are looking seriously on tapping all the opportunities in mining, agriculture, and culture and tourism. So we are working seriously on that, and just like I said, that because we are determined to propel and drive that aspect of our economy, those sectors, we are assured that a lot of income or revenue will come from that. And apart from paying the minimum wage, you can be assured that the economy of the state will be geared because of our focus and our genuity in driving at least those sectors.
Mr. Ibamiji, if you would recall what the president said, and he reiterated in his New Year message, that states and the federal government will have to cooperate largely to pull many, many millions of Nigerians out of poverty and create jobs and all of that. So what's the Osun State element of helping the federal government to achieve this, pulling people out of poverty and creating jobs in Osun State, at this moment? What's the plan?
Yeah, the state of Osun has been creating jobs for the youth. We have given priority to our youth. You remember that the OYET scheme, which are employed 20,000 every year, 20,000 youth every year, has been even copied by the federal government. That is the ESO of the federal government. So we are on it. We started it, and I can assure you that we are going to continue to create at least that employment for the youth. It's a priority. And the governor is seriously working on this, Aliza, to achieve this.
Well, the former governor, the immediate past governor, was quoted to have said just before he left office that the debt profile of the states, he vowed, that's what the quote said, that he vowed that was going to be cleared by 2019. But there are those who bandy figures saying that the debt profile is about 300 billion. So could you give us an idea, what is the debt profile? Has it been cleared, as the former governor did vow that by 2019, that will become history?
Well, that is not true. The debt profile of Osun is not 300 billion, but I can assure you that the debt profile, which is attached to specific projects, which is attached to infrastructural development, and we are getting out of it gradually, and we are one of the credible states. Because what gives you a credibility is when you service your debts very well. And the state is servicing its debt and is at the top of getting out of it very soon.
In order not to leave room for those who will speculate, could you then tell us what specifically is the debt profile now?
No, for now, at least I don't have an idea of that. But you can be, just like I told you, there's no problem we are getting out of that debt, but that debt is not a debt, at least per se. It is a debt that is attached to infrastructural development.
But you know the debt attached to infrastructural development. You know the one you refer to as that debt, but you should know the figure. You're Commissioner for Finance.
Yeah.
So what is the figure?
The figure is reducing, I can assure you.
From what to what now?
Yeah, so from at least a higher digit to a lower digit.
You see, that's why they say 300 billion. So if you say it's not 300 billion,
it's not true.
How much is it?
True. The 300 billion is not true. That's not the figure.
So what is the figure?
That at all.
What is the figure?
Minimal. Very minimal.
To what, 250 billion?
No, I've not seen that.
Mr. Commissioner, you're Commissioner for Finance. It's public funds. There's nothing wrong in you telling the people how much your debt profile is.
Just like I told you, at least the figure is very minimal and it's controllable, it's serviceable, so there's no problem. Don't worry, you can actually Google it. It's in the website. Anybody can see it from there.
But you're the authority in this regard. So if you tell us, people can quote the commissioner saying, this is the figure, and not any other one anyone may bandy.
That's why I said it's in our website. So you can check our website, you can see at least all those, very clear, very transparent.
So since you won't say that, let me just quickly get the perspective. Since you've been having meetings, you say all is well, that is going to be paid. But Mr. Adebowale Adekola is the chairman, Trade Union Congress, Osun State Council. He joins us via phone today from Oshogbo. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. So at the moment, we understand the commissioner says all is well with the negotiations, and so you shouldn't have any reason to worry. In the next couple of weeks or thereabout, this minimum wage will be paid. Are you on the same page with the state government or the commissioner at this point?
Good morning. Our head commissioner and I just said that we are. I just said, let me just say this way, we are on the same page with the government of the state of Osun, because we have met on two occasions after the inauguration. But I do believe in the next couple of weeks, the issue of minimum wage in our state will be resolved.
So at what point of that conversation, what stage are you in now?
Yes, it's a collective bargaining issue. The government presented from us that we have what we are demanding from government. We presented the minimum wage from level 1 to 6 and level 7 to 17. And the government has agreed with us that level 1 to 6 will be fully paid as being duly signed by the Federal Ministry of Finance. And the consequential adjustment from level 7 to level 17 will also be looking into, considering that it's a state issue, and then we have to sit down to see how the possibility of paying the possibility of paying this salary, so that we will not have any issue after the negotiation has been concluded.
Okay.
What percentages are you looking at with the government of Osun State at this moment concerning these consequential adjustments? We understand that the national body of NLC is supposed to give you a template, the states, a template that they will negotiate with their state governments. So what percentages are included in this template?
The percentage is not different from what federal government sent to us, because it's the directive from the Joint Negotiation Council. The percentage is not different, but we have. Let's just put it this way: we have our salary table the state. And the salary table we have in our state, we have to adjust it at that consequential from level 7. So this is what we are presenting to the government. We are presenting the consequential from 20% from level 7, 20% to level 8, 18 to level 9, 60 to level 14, and 14 to level 16 and 14. That's what we are presenting to the government. And that will be the area of our negotiation.
And having met twice, what do you think the position of Osun State government is on this proposition that the NLC in Osun State is making?
Well, the body language of the government to the labor movement in the state shown that we have the willingness to pay this minimum wage. And I just want to seize the opportunity to appeal to them, not to derail from that commitment in which we have started with the worker in the state in the last 12 months. So that's just it. The willingness is there. They have the mind of pay. So the only complaint that they have a little bit challenge in their finances. But as they are appealing to us to appeal to our members for the internal generated revenue, and which we will give them the support so that everything will work out fine.
I was going to ask you a question along that line, because, of course, there's been that talk that Osun State was broke and all of that, but, of course, we've heard the Commissioner of Finance. So in the event, well, in line with what you have said now, that in your consideration that Osun State is not as buoyant as the workers in Osun State will expect it to be, what considerations, what compromises are the workers in Osun State willing to make in the event that this conversation goes along that line?
You see, the issue is we cannot compromise our salary with anything. That's a statement of fact. The issue of minimum wage is a national issue. It's a constitutional issue in which every party to it have duly signed. So we are not compromising anything with anything lesser than our demands from the government. But this is what I will say for the record, that there must be a sacrifice from the end of the government side. Government have to sacrifice to pay the workers, because workers have been working seriously and have been doing everything possible to make sure that the development of the state is at positive side. So this time around, when we demand for our salary, no any compromise or whatsoever. Government must cut their expenses. They must block leakages. That's only consideration which we can give to the government, that they must block leakages. They must have a way of they are spending. They must spend the way they spend money must be guided, so that other things will not be suffered for this. The worker will not be suffered for their unreasonable expenditure. If that's one.
All right, Comrade Adebowale Adekola, Chairman, Trade Union Congress, Osun State Council, thank you for talking to us this morning. But if I could just quickly conclude with the Commissioner, Mr. Oyebamiji. Well, we would know that previously the medical doctors, they usually were up in arms. At this point in time, all of these negotiations, what is the current perspective? Is the state engaging the doctors and paying all of those arrears which they had said that they were owed without being paid?
Somebody please come again.
The doctors in the state, is there any conversation, any negotiation, any meeting going on with them? We know that previously they usually were up in arms about their salaries.
So for the state of Osun, the doctors are happy with the state. We don't have any problem with the doctors. Everybody is collecting at least his full salary as at when due, even before at least it is due. So I don't have any idea of the doctors not being happy. I think that's the past thing. For now, the doctors are very happy with the governor.
So what is the target in the state now in terms of the IGR generation? Because if the domestic debt profile is about 149 billion, so do you have any target, and how are you progressing with respect to meeting with the targets that you've set for the state?
Yeah, the target for now is about 2.5 billion monthly, and we are working seriously to achieve that. The governor just appoints a new chairman, and he has given the clear directions of what he wants from the chairman of the ORS. So we are working seriously to achieve that, and I can assure you that we will achieve at least something close to it, if not all. But the first thing means that we remain focused, and we know that we need to give good services to our people, because it's a government of the people, and this government is accepted by these people. So we know what is on us, and we are working seriously to achieve it.
And one of the concerns, too, at that time, in fact, generally now, it's usually about tax. Businesses complain of multiple taxation. When they set up businesses, the state tax officials usually swoop on them. So how is Osun State handling that?
We don't have problem on multiple taxation. We have a committee that drafts the interministerial committee that look into that. And for now, we don't have such problem. We have taken care of it. The government is very proactive. And being at least a financial expert, he knows what to do in respect of that. And we don't have such problem for now in our state.
Okay. All right. So we are looking forward to perhaps your next meeting. And from what you have said, if we could recap, I mean, before this month ends, all of those salaries, the minimum wage challenges would have been sorted. And you're telling us that that will be sorted before the month end, and they all will be paid. The consequential adjustments also factored in. Is that right?
Yeah, you are very correct.
Could you also just quickly add this? There is also the concern that NLC has raised about not just the workers, but also the pensioners. Let's hope that they're also factored into the consideration that you are in the conversations that you're having with labor in Osun State.
Yeah, that is why I said that we have set up modalities to consider as everybody. Everyone will be taken care of, and the government has been taking care of at least all of both the active and the inactive laborers. So we are going to take care of them.
Is there any special request you want to make of the workers? Well, my colleague raised the issue of taxes and the tax officials swooping on, the people, in the small businesses in the state. Now, one of the things that, of course, government would want to say is once people are paid their salaries, of course, naturally, you would want the IGRs to improve, to increase, and all of that. How do you intend to achieve that in a way that it doesn't stifle businesses in the environment?
That's why I said that this governor is running a government of inclusion. So all our people are being considered holistically, and all the business entities, both the corporate organizations, will sit down to decide on what to do. And the issue of multiple taxes is not something that is running in our state.
All right, Mr. Bola Oyebamiji, Commissioner for Finance in Osun State, thank you for talking to us this morning. All right, so we'll also take a look at one or two other states, and just to find out what is the current situation when we return. Stay with us.